Peter, you've got your hand up.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'd have to question this stuff about the health effects. We've been using gas in our homes for 50 and 60 years in Victoria, and I think the data which suggests people are getting sick or having any problems with gas is highly dubious. But I think the issue is we're asking the wrong question. If we're going to have gas policies or policies in Australia which discourage exploration and production of gas, which is what's happening in Victoria and New South Wales, we're going to run out of gas and we're going to have to import gas, which will be more expensive. So on one hand, there's no point in encouraging people to use gas if we're not going to explore for it and produce it. Look at Santos and Narrabri. They've had more than 2 TCF of gas there, and a huge quantity for Sydney, which has been sitting there for 12 years, going through approval after approval after approval.
Right.
And I'm sorry, it's just
Abigail,
nonsense.
what's your response?
The amount of gas that we export that is not available for domestic use, that is what's pushing up the gas prices. That is what is now driving someone like Santos, that company, to go in and to destroy that farmland on the Liverpool Plains. It's complete nonsense. This is
destroying farmland when you're putting acres and acres of solar panels around. Coal seam gas does not destroy farmland. That's nonsense.
Of course it does.
James, I mean, what do you think about this argument?
Well, I'm on the side of Australians who want to have freedom and choice to decide whether they use what type of electricity comes into the house. If they want to use gas, people should be able to use gas. It is simple as that. Government should not be bossing people around. They should be getting out of people's lives.
And Abigail, we look at Victoria. You mentioned Victoria. The state would have to take 200 homes a day off gas every day until 2045 to achieve net zero. Do you think that's a realistic target, 200 homes a day off gas?
It's extraordinary when you look at the price of how much it costs to get off of gas. This is the problem, to retrofit, to get off of gas. But yes, we have a massive problem trying to get off of gas, and yet then we have new builds installing new gas. This is nonsense. Of course we need to ban the installation of gas into new builds. And the idea that we somehow are denying choice, this isn't the choice of the people living in these homes. This is the choice of the landlords and the property developers. And we know that most renters that are going into new builds are then lumped with whatever they've got and unable to complain.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's an interesting one. I know a lot of local councils have already gone in this direction. But look, you've both had your say. Let's call on the jury now. You have 10 seconds to deliberate. Is now the time to ban gas in newly built homes?
Yes.
Okay, time is up. What is the jury's verdict? All of you say no, except one yes. So you don't believe that gas should be banned for new builds, except for you, Yvonne. Why have you voted yes?
I think the scientific evidence is just beginning to get more and more overwhelming, especially for paediatric asthma. And that's one of the big reasons why, California and other countries are looking into trying to phase out gas. So I think it's less about greenhouse gases, what the cost is. It's just the overwhelming study after study that's finding, especially with poor ventilation, that's contributing to childhood asthma.
Yeah, which is what Abigail said there. Sarah, you also voted no. Why?
Well, again, I think people should have choice. At the end of the day, if there are pre-existing health conditions or if you're, exposed to that, then you should have the choice not to, obviously, if you don't want to install the gas. But, yeah, like in Australia, we've gone from the 4th cheapest electricity to now the 10th in the world, ever since we've been on this path to net zero. So you can't argue that this is going to make it cheaper for everyone, that's... Yeah. We're yet to see that, so...
Yeah. George, up the back, you said no as well.
Absolutely. I am sick and tired of governments telling us how we can live. We are here for a short time and therefore they should allow us to have our choice. Gas is by far the most efficient way of cooking and the most preferred way of cooking. Ask anybody who cooks. And over the next 25 years, gas has developed to such a point that gas stoves will be changed over to non-CO2 producing gas. So for heaven's sake, leave us alone and give us our choice and let us have our way. And let's have our choice in being able to use gas.
Abigail, leave us alone, give us a choice.
I'm sorry. Look, it's not... We don't have this argument when we're talking about all of the other issues that the government gets involved in when it comes to health.
Yeah.
It's a really obvious one, and of course we shouldn't be having gas in new homes.
Well, the debate's already started, so I'm sure it's going to keep going. We're firing up. We're firing it right up. Abigail Boyle and James McGrath, thanks for joining us on the panel this evening.